listeners, my name is Talia Plaskett and we are coming at you today from Vital Berry Farms. We're going to chat with Garry Hart and just talk a little bit about their nutrient management and cover cropping practices that they have adopted in their protected spaces. This farm in particular is quite interesting because we have 4 different scenarios or sort of groups of treatments happening. You'll notice that some of the tunnels behind me are covered, some of them are not. Some of them have green growing in them still, some of them are exposed soil, and then we have some that still have some plants in them, but we have taken the plastic off. So there's a lot of ground to cover here today, lots of interesting things to talk about, so let's dive in.
Garry Hart, Hants County. I manage these tunnels at Gibson Woods Road, Kings County. I've been doing this since 2007, probably 17 years, I guess. There's 9.5 acres here now. We started off with 8 acres, which was 40 high tunnels, and we've added 6 more since. We're running out of space right now, but we've got blackberries, raspberries, tomatoes, beans. I've never done anything in greenhouses until I started here. I went to agricultural college in 88 to 90, which makes me quite old. But I studied animal science with engineering background. And I worked on various beef, sheep, dairy farms through the years. And I applied here and they offered me this job. Nobody else in the company knew anything about tunnels or greenhouses, and neither did I, but we roughed through it and learned a lot over the years. But I think we've kind of mastered quite a bit of it.
So why don't we start off by talking about the fertility plant on farm. Let's start with our pre-season prep and then talk about some of the things that happen throughout the season.
I'm working on manure now in the fall for mainly the beans. They need more organic matter, more nitrogen. So we've played with that, and yeah, we see a benefit to that. So, but with the blackberries and raspberries and tomatoes, before we plant, we apply a coat of peat moss based compost through all those, and we've seen that holds the moisture in the soil longer so that the plants don't dry out. Water will go right through a sandy soil, but if you have this in there to soak it up and keep a constant level of moisture, you don't have to worry about the plants getting a little drier.
Awesome.
We used to have issues with that in the tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
So, the way I feed them, I give them 2 fertilizations a week every crop, and it's constantly have fertility right in front of them, same as feeding dairy cattle. You always keep food in front of them.
Yeah.
So there's no highs or lows. It just stays level right through.
Given that you had very little greenhouse experience when you first started here at Vital Berry, how did you get to the point of having a fully fleshed out fertigation plan?
When we started these tunnels, we had 40 tunnels of raspberries, and we were on recommendations from a manager who grew raspberries, blackberries in the field for fertility. Well, the first few years we had raspberry plants that are 12, 14 feet high. Couldn't pick them, just way too much fertility. So we've been gradually, after the next few years, we've reduced our fertility every year. And now I'd say we're probably at 55% of what we started with. Rosie with perennia, for the most part, for 2 or 3 years. Well, actually, going before Rosie. Worked with him, but then Rosie and I developed a fertility program. We did soil tests every 2 or 3 weeks. Not soil tests, tissue analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Do soil tests in the fall, tissue analysis every 2 or 3 weeks, and just did adjustments, and we figured out what the plants needed, and based on our soil conditions, and we've got a recipe now, and we've been using that for probably 6 years, 7 years.
One of the trends we typically see in protected production is a change in pH over time. Have you witnessed that on farm here?
Soil samples will tell us, and we put granular sulfur down. We don't see it so much in the tunnels that would take the plastic off in the winter because they get rained on for 4 or 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
But you can visually see the salt build up in the blackberries more so than the raspberries because they're uncovered also. But the blackberries are covered all year round. But you see it visually, and if we see the pH is not where it needs to be, we'll put some sulfur down.
Speaking of your uncovered tunnels here, I noticed that some of them have plants growing in them. Why don't you tell us about that?
Oh yeah, we've got cover crop. We've got just fall rye here this year because it was easy to get. We have tried tillage radish, which seems to work really well. And they really love it in here. Peas, we tried peas in different mixtures. They all grow pretty good. And it's mainly for organic matter and to control wind and water erosion through the winter. Might put a little bit of nutrients in, but we don't count on it too much. I would like to see more peas and tillage radish in here. But this year we didn't. We just used fall rye.
Okay, so along the lines of cover crops, when are you typically putting them in, and how do you get rid of them?
The cover crops we put on the bean, where we grow the beans. We grow the beans early. We're done harvests mid-July, the 20th of July, something like that. And we don't have another crop to follow them with. So we take the plastic off the tunnels, and then we'll plant the cover crop, usually by mid-August, ideally. Get that in, plant it, and you see what it's doing there now. Now we usually spray that off just to kill it down so we don't have residue to gum our machines up in the spring. Because we don't plow, we just chisel plow, right? And then we come through the culvert, and if we have a lot of grass and residue, it'll get caught up in the machinery. So, and we're planting beans again end of April, so it's quite early.
Yeah.
So we don't really have time to let it rot up. So we want to get it died off in the winter time as much as we can. Ideally, we would leave it in to give more organic matter, but we can't do that with our situation.
All right, folks, thanks so much for joining us. Stay tuned for our upcoming webinar on cover crops and nitrogen management. We're going to do a bit of an Ask Me Anything format, which means the conversation will be directed by you. We'll have a few panelists, a few of perennia specialists, and we'll just see where it takes us. So keep your eye out. See ya.